This is the single rib from nose to chin. You can see when I take a breath in, it still keeps the air out, or a cavity that you can breathe through more easily. I also like it with my glasses on top of the mask and a paper clip in here. It holds it more firmly, and then when I breathe, it's not as likely to steam up my glasses. So this one's got a second rib that goes through on top of this rib, cheek to cheek, and it really makes a big cavity close to where you breathe. And again, I guess some air does escape. So this one has a rib that goes up through the top. I haven't sewn it in yet. It's still loose. But it makes a huge difference with the ability to breathe and not have a panic feeling when that mask sucks up close to your mouth and your nose, in case that can help somebody in their own making process. So first I wanted to talk about how to cut out the pattern. So this is my fabric, and I just folded it the width of the mask. So the inside, or the right side, is facing in. And then the piece that was cut has two pieces, and they both have the face in. And I just left them exactly the way I cut them. And the same thing with the t-shirt. So I have, for one of Robin's, I have the center of a t-shirt from the Atlanta Suzuki Association conference. So anyway, that's the correct side, or the right side in also. So this is the pattern that I'm sending you. And our first thing is going to be to sew from A to B on both pieces with it's about a 3/8 inch seam all the way. So we're starting at the top. Here's the liner. So the liner and the outside, we'll do face to face, put the threads on the top, put one of the seams to the left, one seams to the right. And these up. And now we're going to sew along the top from there all the way across to here. So now this top part at the top by the nose, we're going to trim close but not on the seam. And then you're also going to cut little bits along the curve, not all the way to the seam. This helps when you turn it inside out that it allows the curve to curve. When you turn it inside out, or right side out in this case. So next we need to line up the bottoms. So you're just pushing the inside. Your interior and your exterior to line up. And I try to make the seams go the same direction as the nose. So the nose has the flags going that direction, so I'll make the flags go the same direction. Pin the middle, pull the threads together. So now we've already sewn the top part of the nose. Now we're going to leave room for a rib in the middle. So we're going to sew from the side, just not totally over. We have to leave enough room for a zip tie to go through. So we're going to put stop here and then go back. I'm going to start on this side, go to there, and then go back. So this is the nose, and this is the bottom of the face, the base, the chin. We also need to snip the seam across here. You don't have to do this, but it just makes it lay better if you do it across the curve. And then turn it inside out, or right side out now. And line up all the edges. So there's going to be a space in the center that's not sewn that we're going to put the zip tie through. So I've chosen this as the interior of the mask and this as the exterior of the mask. And I have pinned everything along the top and along the side here. Next, we're going to put the nose piece where the paper clip is going to go. I find that these little teeny tiny paper clips that are plastic coated are perfect. They maintain their shape. So we need a piece of fabric that's paper clip length along here. So I'm looking to cut the fabric the length of the paper clip. Then I'm going to fold it in thirds. Fold it in half to see where the middle mark is. And you can line that up with your seam. Next, we're going to make loops. So if you want to make yours with a known length of elastic, whether it's the ear elastic that attaches here, you can use the elastic to put in, or in my case, since I don't know the length that's needed, I'm going to make a loop. So I just have this fabric that I'm making a loop that the elastic will go through. So I'm going to put one loop in case this person wants to do ears. I'll put two in. So there's one here. And I'm putting one at the bottom. So the elastic can go. Through this loop. And then I'll do the same on this side.
Turn this right side out. So you pin it there. Like that, and that.
Okay, so now I'm going to sew across. I find that the cross piece, this one, that's going to be inside the pocket, works best if it lands between the nose and the mouth, which is about 1/3 of the distance of the mask. So I'm going to mark that space. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Me not to oversew that because I need to leave a gap for the vertical.
So you can just, on your little electric, you push the button that needs to go back, you can just put and just instead of cutting it and bringing it in, just gonna sew back across. Keeping the fabric underneath, which I didn't check.
So this is the bottom of the mask. I'm going to end up aiming when I come across to make that slot. I'm going to end up aiming for this pin at the 1/3 mark. So I'm going to have to leave an opening. So I stopped so that I can leave an opening in there, and I'm going to pivot and aim toward that 1/3 pin. And then I'm going to go back to the seam on the side of the seam. So I'm leaving a pocket up the middle. So there's going to be the next one I'm going to sew is going to start here and go up to that pin, up to the nose piece, and over. So I'm not sure if you can see very well, but because I did the white yarn, so there's a slot that goes from one side to the other, and there's a slot that goes from the base and stops at the nose. This slot is for the paper clip. So I'll tie all of these. I'll knot all of them, but just so you can see. And I'll also do a blanket binding stitch across the edge. You can make a seam, but I find that this paper clip gets caught often. And I'll do a tutorial on the blanket stitch too. So the slot will go from side to side, and depending upon if you make it wide enough, you can even just leave that piece in there. And then there's the second slot, which I usually just sew in. I'll get it stuck in there, leave it there. And I use wire cutters to chop it. I'll just sew this one in because it's not too hard to wash it. I wash mine by hand. You can try throwing them in the washing machine as well. So this is the nose piece, which then you can slide out, slide back in. And you wash, and this side to side one if you want to. Next I'll put elastic ear loops. I'll put ear loops through and tie so that the person who gets this can adjust it to their ears. And then I'll also do one long elastic, double elastic that'll go just through these top loops so you can put it over your head. That's my favorite. It seems to seal the best, but everybody's pretty particular about these things. So I'm going to try to show you how to do the blanket binding stitch along the edge of the nose piece so that you can keep the edges from fraying when you stick the paper clip through again and again. So I'm going to use dark thread, so hopefully you'll get a better idea or be able to see. So I knotted the end. So you end up I don't know if you can see. You end up making a loop. So you're doing an overhand loop. And before you get to the end, you're going to put your needle through the loop so that when you go into the next stitch, it's at the top. So I'm doing another loop. And I'm going to put my needle through the loop that I just made. Move this out of the way so you can see, maybe. And it ends up running the thread across the top. There we go. Like that. So you have a straight stitch and then it goes over. You're going to put your thread through the loop that you just made. Go to the next one. You put your needle through the loop that you made. You'll sometimes, it's called blanket binding. You'll lots of times see this on fleece blankets along the edge as like a decorative thing, but it's also made for things like this where the edge will fray unless you do something to keep it from fraying. So this looks the same, relatively the same on the front and the back, and it provides stability so that these pieces don't just keep coming off the edge. So that's, you would do this on both sides, and then you can just tie off the edge so that this part's secure. I can show you. Not too close to the edge like that, because it will fray right off. I just want it to be secure. Doesn't really matter what you do, but you just want it to not come undone. And I'll trim my tail here. Can't believe I have Darwin hair still. So you're gonna do this side and you're gonna do the other side of your slot. And you can do it after it's sewn on the mask or before it's sewn on the mask. It doesn't really matter, but you can see if you don't, then you have the weaving, the woven material will come unraveled. So this is the blanket stitch across the ends of the nose piece.